Welcome to this Sauna Talk podcast episode with Nick Fox, Minnesota's first Wim Hof certified instructor and baker of some amazing homemade bread. We communed in heat, cold plunge, and nature in my backyard sauna recently, and you'll hear my interview with Nick in just one moment. But before then, I'd like to take you back to a dark and cold February night in Minnesota a few years ago when Nick first sat down to watch the Vice documentary on Wim Hof, the Iceman. Inspired by the science and adventures in the cold with minimal clothing, Nick began taking cold showers and practicing breath work the very next day. His experience with the Wim Hof Method initiated Nick's breathwork journey. In January of 2022, he went to Poland to complete his certification as Wim Hof instructor, and later he became certified in the Oxygen Advantage. Now he guides breathwork and coaches ice bath work in workshops around the Midwest. Before becoming a full-time pulmonaut, what is a pulmonaut? Well, it's simply someone who uses their breath as a tool for exploration and transformation. Well, Nick taught philosophy, history, and art at both the high school and college level. He is also a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve and spends his summers out in the field with the cadets at the Military Academy in West Point, New York. When he's not playing Army, he's writing and drawing with his young children. Those familiar with this podcast are familiar with a few other Sauna Talk guests from the world of cold exposure and breathwork. A few that come to mind include Harvey Martin, who currently is on staff breathing and contrast therapying with the San Francisco Giants Major League Baseball team. Jesse Comer, trainer, breathwork coach, and author of 2 books on the subject, and Wim Hof himself, where I had him on the podcast back in 2017. So feel free to dig back and check out these episodes in particular. But back to Nick. Teaching people deep, conscious breathing and cold exposure techniques is his new passion. You can visit his website, foxfirebreathworks.com, where you'll be able to check out his upcoming workshops and classes. For example, in January 2024, it should be cold enough here in Minneapolis for Nick's winter swimming class at the Swedish Institute. He is mobilizing a kick-ass wood-fired mobile sauna, one that I actually had a hand in helping with my friends Brad and Ben at Prairie Wood Saunas. But that's a story for another day coming soon. Anyhow, Nick looks forward to helping you explore your inner strengths. And I'm super happy to share some breathing on the bench with you and Nick Fox from Foxfire Breathworks. Welcome, Nick, to Sauna Talk. This show is brought to you by Lampa Manufacturing, maker of the Kuma sauna stove. Surrounded by birches and pines in the heart of America's sauna country sits this multi-generational sauna stove builder along the shores of the Boundary Waters Canoe area in northeastern Minnesota. Kuma is 100% Finnish heritage and 100% Finnish made. The question isn't whether to go with a Kuma or not. It's who you're going to leave your sauna stove with when you leave this earth. Safe, clean, efficient. Kuma. So who are we with?
Nick Fox.
Nick's, where's home for you?
I live in South Minneapolis.
And would you say a claim to fame is you are Wim Hof certified? I would put that on the top of your resume today. Did I get that right?
I am. Officially Minnesota's first certified Wim Hof instructor. Even though I feel very honored that I'm with a very long-time practitioner of the Wim Hof Method. Because there's so many people in Minnesota especially that have been doing both cold plunging and deliberate cold exposure, jumping in frozen lakes, sauning, and breath work before they made the Wim Hof Method a certified thing. So
good point. Yeah. When was the certification program started?
I think they started certifying people about 8 or 10 years ago. I got my certification about 2 years ago now, and when I did it, yeah, I had to do my online work, of course, my booklet, and then I went to Poland in 2020 to do the official certification, and they've expanded it now, so you can do the certification in Spain, Poland, Washington State. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And being the first certified Wim Hof instructor in the state of Minnesota is a testament to your commitment to the practice.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could, I'm going to have you hold this.
Yeah.
I hope I'm making a good executive decision, because I'm going to go tune the music down.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know if listeners are enjoying a little ambient down tempo for our chat or not.
I don't know. I mean,
guess?
my recorded voice is. I don't find it very pleasant. I find myself annoying. So maybe leave the music on.
Okay. And if we make a mistake, you guys just turn it up. But I'm very happy to chill on the sound bench and not go in the other room. I have an old school receiver out there, and I like to hardwire my saunas with. Maybe that's an old school way to go with all the Bluetooth stuff in the world, but I like analog. I like getting away from the cell phone, because if you're like relying on that technology to go turn it up, turn it down, then all of a sudden you just get distracted by a text, and the next thing you know, you're wrapped up in that world again.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
I'm old. Anyway, so we're not turning it down, you guys.
No. That's fine.
I hope those listening can jive right in with our discussion here with Nick from South Minneapolis, first Wim Hof certified. We're talking about that certification program. I'd like to just dial it back and share with listeners what drew you to the hot, the cold, the breath work. Tell us your background.
Yeah, so I originally, the way I discovered the Wim Hof, first I feel like people discover Wim Hof and then they realize that they've developed, his kids especially have developed a method around what he's essentially done his whole life to both deal with stress and go like into deeper parts of mindfulness. And I watched the Vice documentary. Someone sent me the Vice documentary over email. This was about a month before COVID time. And the subject line was, maybe your autonomic nervous system isn't so automatic. And I was like, oh, I have no idea what that means, but there's a guy balancing with his shirt off on the top of a snowy mountain, and I'm kind of interested in that. So I sat down with my wife that night, and we watched it, and I was totally intrigued by the idea of surviving in the cold with minimal clothing. Because it was February in Minnesota, I thought this would be a good challenge. So the very next day I downloaded the app, and it's when I started doing the breathing actually that I realized that I had parts of myself that I never really even explored. And so the breathing is what really got me into the Wim Hof method and just practicing it, and how it changed my moods, how I could relax quickly in the morning, get prepared for the day. Whew, that feels good. And as I leaned more into the practice, taking cold showers, ice baths, jumping in frozen lakes, then I wanted to do it with people as the COVID veil was lifting. And I looked around for a workshop, an official workshop, and turned out there was nobody in the Midwest that was certified or leading official workshops. And I come from a background of doing military training and teaching in high school, and so I just thought, what the hell, I'll just sign up. I'll go to Poland, and I'll do it. And that's what I did, and I signed up, and I went to Poland, and I climbed the mountain with my shirt off, and now I'm back here, and I do workshops monthly with people in Minnesota, just doing group breath work. And what I have to tell you, Glenn, people really want to do the cold exposure, but it's scary. We're told that the cold is dangerous, and it can be.
Well, Nick, I have to support what you're saying here, because I've been doing cold work, cold breath, all this stuff for a decade, I guess, and I've been swimming in cold water since shit, I don't know, 30 years, our cabin's up north. I'm not afraid of cold water.
Right.
But when you turn the corner this afternoon with a 5-gallon bag of ice, I'm like, this dude is serious. So I had a little trepidation. I mean, my backyard cold plunge tank is cold because it's 35, 38 degrees outside
it's cold.
right now.
Yeah, it got cold today.
Yeah, I mean, so we have nature chilling that water, and
Right.
here, you bastard, you come around the corner with a. So I feel what you're saying.
It's
man.
24 pounds of ice, by the way. It's
Yeah,
not 5.
so
right.
you're a serious guy, man. You travel to Poland and you're certified, and you come to my sauna on invitation, bringing a big bag of ice. So good on you, man. But I know that it's intimidating. So
it is super intimidating, and that's what, like, one thing I really enjoy about my workshops and doing the Wim Hof Method with other people is that, like, a lot of people just do it by themselves. Like they get the app, or they do breathing exercises in the morning or at night or whatever.
Well, that's me.
Yeah,
That's
and
me.
that's all of us. I mean, that's a lot of people who do breath work, and that's how you should do it. Like, I am always excited to talk to people about their breath work practices as they do them at home.
Well, I'm excited for that too. Do you mind if I put you on live TV and I think listeners to Sauna Talk may benefit if I could put you right on the spot and ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So
While I'm in the sauna like this.
well, right now,
Yeah.
I in live TV, in the spirit of that, I
so
do
good.
have. Yeah, doesn't that feel great?
Yeah, it feels amazing.
Yeah. How would you describe?
Do you have some
this?
oils going in here too?
I do. I have just a couple. I usually, 99% of the time, I don't put any oil in my water at all. Sometimes up north, I'll make tea. And for those listening, a great tip: if you are close to a balsam, specifically like one of those pines, you just snap off a little balsam and put it in a little jug of water, either on the rocks, like a metal pan or whatever, or just water sitting on the sauna bench, and you have some balsam tea, which is really nice. But I just I've been cleaning because it's going to get cold, so usually this is the time of year when I do my fall clean. So I started cleaning some stuff, and I found a bottle of stuff from Finland, and I just put like 2-3 drops in that water, and there you go. You feel it.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I definitely feel it. You can taste it a little bit.
Is it a positive thing?
It is. It's got like a vanilla flavor to it for me.
Yeah.
It's very soothing.
Yeah, it's called kilo hanka. Kilo is a wood up in up there, way up there. Who's that? Who we got? Someone's knocking on the window. It's the sauna delivery. Let's press pause.
All right.
Yeah. We'll get right back at it. Okay, so we're recording a podcast.
Well, we both come from very big families too,
We
right?
do. Yeah, we've got 6 in ours. and
Yeah,
you've
7.
got-
There were 7 foxes.
And please introduce yourself.
I'm Kristen Johnson.
And Christian, where's home for you?
Home for me is St. Paul, Minnesota.
And why are you here right now?
I'm here to get a sauna heater for the sauna we just built.
And you happen to know Nick?
I do know Nick. Our families both went to the same high school.
Yeah.
Amazing. This is sauna.
And it's a small ice.
This is
really
sauna
small high
connectivity. Yeah, and tell listeners what you're up to in your backyard right now.
So we put together a barrel sauna from scratch. We got some thermal treated pine. We've just got that together. It took, I would say, about 5 times longer than I expected. But
course.
we're down to benches and heater now.
Right on. And tell us about your choice. You did a lot of research about purchasing a heater. Can you share with listeners a little bit about that experience and what we're standing in front of?
Yeah, I definitely wanted something with good thermal mass. So looking at something that could hold a lot of stones. Researching different companies definitely came down to looking either at some Finnish ones, and then we found this Canadian company. So supporting a good North American, their design looks amazing. I guess they have a Ukrainian designer who put it together. So I had just sent a request about a different heater through Glenn's website, and then he reached out. We realized we were both in the same state and that he had one of the heaters I was looking for.
Yeah. That's the small world of sauna. And I love this heater. I'm just so ecstatic about where electric heater can go in terms of quality. I'm a wood-fired guy, but this is the Revive, right? Did you talk to the company out in British Columbia?
Yeah, I'd sent some emails back and forth to kind of figure out if this would be the right for our size sauna that we did.
Sweet. Okay. So listeners of Sauna Talk, forgive us. We're going to get right back to it with Nick, but this is a little interlude of sauna connectivity, right? Any final words to listeners of Sauna Talk?
No, this has been a really fantastic and weird
Give
experience.
a plug for True Stone Coffee.
Yeah, True Stone Coffee.
Okay. They're our sponsor for this episode. And
Also connected to our high school.
Yep.
yeah, right on. Well, we'll load this up and we'll get back to you guys listening to Sauna Talk. So do you guys have your checkbook?
We have our checkbook at home.
That's right. And then what we call this a sauna brain. You guys are really kindred spirits to me. This is exactly what I would do. So it's all good in our world of sauna brain.
We'll see how well we do once we start heating ourselves up too.
That's right. More sauna brain. You guys, safe travels on a Friday.
Thank you.
A pleasure to visit.
Thank you.
Okay. So Nick, stay with me.
Yeah.
So we got to get our sauna round in. This is only round one, and we've already had mystery guests in sauna survival. But I wanted to ask you specifically, and put you on the spot, Nick, about the difference between the Wim Hof Method, where you're doing it solo, which we, recognize is like 80-90% of the time.
Yeah.
And then, you're talking about like, this guided business where, people are breathing together, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. And we'll revisit that. And prior to doing so, I wanted to put you on the spot and say, when I started doing the Wim Hof Method in 2014, 2015, I don't know, it was like, and then my retentions, like, I remember specifically up north at my cabin, I would go down to our sauna guest cabin deck, I would do my breathing 3-4 rounds, and my retentions were like 350, 4 minutes, and then COVID hit, I don't know, I kind of gave it, I wouldn't say a pause, but it was less frequent. I was doing Wim less frequently and stuff, and then I recently got back into it, meaning like about a year and a half ago. My retentions are like a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, that's actually a very, I was actually a very similar way when I first got into it. But the first question I have to ask is when you do your retentions, are you holding with your breath in?
No.
Okay. And that's how it's always been.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, when I first started, this is getting Wim nerdy, but
yeah.
I want to peel the onion on that.
Yeah,
so,
I can give, real quick for your listeners, when you do Wim Hof breathing, when people talk about their retentions, you do essentially cyclical deep breathing for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then you hold your breath on the exhale generally. That's
all the carbon dioxide is out of your body.
Yep.
Yeah, and then your cells, in theory, are supercharged with oxygen.
Yep.
And so you reach this little nirvana position there where, your conditional response is like, oh, I haven't breathed. I should breathe. I need to breathe. And then you're like, well, why? And it's just really cool. It's like a Zen place to know that you don't need the oxygen to breathe.
Yeah,
for
you
that
don't need
period.
it. Right.
Yeah.
And because the trigger that tells you really need to breathe is a CO2 trigger, and when you kick out all that CO2, you actually give yourself a much bigger blanket so that you don't have to breathe for a minute, 2 minutes. Until that trigger goes off again. And
Perfectly described.
Yeah.
So your question back to me was very appropriate. So yeah I'm on the exhale.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
and by the way, let's for listeners, let's do 5 Wim Hof breaths just so people understand. Like, go ahead and or just explain. Yeah, go.
Yeah, I mean, the way I teach it, and it opened up several things for me. But you're doing deep diaphragmatic breathing, and you pull the breath fully in, and then I go. No pause between inhalation and exhalation.
Do it with us. one more.
Yeah. And even that, I mean, even breathing like that, I mean, it starts closing off the thinking parts of your brain and getting you more into your adrenaline and gets you more into your, emotional parts of your brain. And it's extremely relaxing, especially in a safe environment. So, and I think that's another big key of it is that. Oh, I gotta catch my breath.
No, sorry.
No,
Take your time, Nick. This is a good moment. I can chime in on that. So we wanted to do just a small little sample of the breath work, and I hope you joined us for that. On that, maybe we could do that again if you guys wanted. Listening, I have to predict whether that was beneficial.
Just don't do it in the car.
I have done it in the car, I have to admit.
That's why they're making us certified now, Glenn.
Yeah, all right. You're going to issue me the yellow card.
5 breaths isn't going to kill anyone in the car. That'll be fine.
Yeah. I used to do it driving home. You're going to kill me, but I used to do it driving home.
I always tell my participants, I'm always on some Zoom call and someone's like, so I was doing it on my drive home, and it's like, no, don't do it while you're driving. Yeah, but go ahead. This will be good.
So our cabin is on Lake Vermilion, and it's 3.5 hours north, and I would start when I was coming back and forth a little more frequently during my busy work, life in the mid-teens, 2015, 2016, whatever. So I'd be driving home, and just south of Virginia, Minnesota was a good time for me to start breathing, because then there's a turnoff to Cloquet, and I know a specific dirt road that I would turn down, and I would flip the car off, and it would be on my last retention on the exhale. I get out of my car on the dirt road, and I get in front of the car, and I start into my push-ups.
Nice.
So not recommended,
but very fun, and it's good to do. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing you bring up is that you find you can do this breathing, and another side effect of the breathing, one of the things that it brings on is it gives you this boost of adrenaline so that you can do things like more push-ups.
Yes, and I love that. It's one of the great things. I've always, before Wim Hof, I'm just dating myself, but mid-90s to 20, for many years, like 15, 20 years at our cabin, I just would love to do push-ups every morning before jumping in. That was so when I heard about this idea about push-ups after final round of breathing on the exhale, I was like, I could relate to that. It was just very comforting to me. And you're right. I mean, I can do almost 1.5 times the number of push-ups after Wim.
Right.
And push-ups are great, right? Like why do you think that Wim would institute the push-up as a exercise after breath holds and retentions and all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely two things. One, like reading his biography, he did this growing up. So that's how he would start his day. He would roll out of bed, do 50 push-ups, and then he had a newspaper route. So he would go around on his bike and do his newspaper route. And just kind of this idea is the way you wake yourself up. Yeah. First thing in the morning is you knock out 50 push-ups. And that's what, when you say doing 50 push-ups on the 4th round of doing Wim Hof breathing, on my best mornings, do 50 push-ups before I start the breathing.
Oh, you
to wake myself up and really get myself going. Yeah.
Okay, but back to I'm challenging you right on the spot, Nick, about short retentions. What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, short, why your retentions? Shortened. I've heard people say, I've never gotten a really good answer to that, even though I've noticed the same thing. But I've noticed two things, both in my own practice and what other people have said. One, I've taken recordings of myself, and I've noticed that I've snuck some air when I did it earlier. And so the more you do it, I feel like you just become more mindful. So you're paying attention to when you're actually sneaking air or not.
So if I could, so potentially, if my retentions were 3-4 minutes, maybe I was soft and I was actually sneaking some air without.
Okay. That's not uncommon. Okay, I see that. Were you using the app early on too? Yeah.
No. I was not. Okay. I was not. But no, I was doing the. Sorry, I wasn't. It wasn't an app back then. It was where you. What did you do? I forget how I did that, but I was doing the whole Wim thing with Wim on the class. I did the. I signed up for the class. What is that? The recording.
Yeah, the fundamentals.
That's it.
Yeah. The other thing I've heard, and this has been denied by certain breath workers, but I think there's some truth to it, is it's just like, when you start doing it, you're not as efficient at processing your oxygen, so you can hold on to more oxygen and you're using it more slowly. But as you start doing breath work, you get much better at using your oxygen and your breathing becomes more efficient. So then you just use up that oxygen quicker, so you can't hold your breath as long.
It's counterintuitive to me.
Yeah, it is to me too. But like it also, I've noticed that when I first started, I probably had a lot more inflammation in my system than later on. So because I noticed the same thing, or maybe it was just because I was able to relax into the breath holds because they felt so euphoric when I first started. Yes, like
I think you're touching on something for me, right? Like I really try to relax, but I have this sort of loop that happens where I start to get a little bit nervous, which is again counterintuitive because I'm very comfortable with the Wim Hof method, but I can feel myself at 45, 50 seconds or whatever, like fighting that moment that I like.
Right. And have you ever, one thing to try, and I've been experimenting with this because I'm going back to Poland in February for my next level of certification, and I'm doing some, essentially, I don't like to think of it as train up, but more like deeper mindfulness exercises to try to get deeper into the practice. And one of the things is I'm going to try to push myself to a 4-minute breath hold. The thing I've been doing this week is I've been putting my feet alone in ice water. So this morning I did my feet for 25 minutes in ice water. That's how I started my morning, just to really just focus on how my feet react to the cold and pay attention to your body and being conscious of your body while it's under stress. And that's what a breath hold is just paying attention to how your body deals with stress. But if you do something called a booster breath.
Okay.
So when you hit that moment, when you feel like you really need to take a breath, like you're getting anxious and you need to take a breath during a breath hold, you just real quick, and that just resets. It just like resets that mental trigger, that CO2 trigger, and you feel yourself melt into this other layer of consciousness.
Do that for us again,
like 30 seconds. So you do your breath hold, then just real
through
quick.
the nose. I noticed
in through the nose, out through the mouth.
You're always going through the nose.
I am a nose breather.
Yeah,
yes.
I am too. Do you think it matters?
I think it has tons of side effects to breathe through your nose. I have to ask Glenn, are you a mouth taper too?
No, but go ahead. Describe what that is, because I think I know.
Mouth taping, and this is something I picked up.
Taping, yeah.
Taping
no,
your
I
mouth.
don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't like any of that. Like we talked about sauna hats,
Oh, right.
I don't like anything that holds me back.
Right.
No sauna hat. I love that. Hey, people love sauna hats. Totally love that they love sauna hats. Sometimes if there's one sitting around, absolutely I'll put it on. But I'll usually forget where it is and then it's over.
Well, I'm not.
So no taping and no sauna hats.
Well,
but go ahead.
The reason here's the counter argument for that, for the mouth taping, is that I've spent my whole life probably breathing through my mouth and building the habit when I sleep to breathe through my mouth, not controlling it. So then it's almost like you need to bind yourself later in life to start creating the habit. I probably don't need to tape my mouth as much anymore.
Well,
I just kind of enjoy it, and then I know that I'm going to be breathing through my nose.
Right, so it's something you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I got it. Okay. But one more quick thing on that. So I've been breathing, again, I've been doing this for, 10 years or whatever, but like early on I was doing a breath like this, and I'll, for those listening, it's like 80% nose and a little kicker at the end with the mouth. So it'd be something like this, Nick. It'd be like...
Right.
What's your thought to that?
So my thought, I think, in my own experience and from what I've heard, is that when you breathe through your nose, you have a neural connection to your diaphragm. So it's easier to go nose deeper into your belly, or at least it feels like it's deeper in your belly. Your mouth, we associate with chest breathing. Yes. So more the sympathetic breathing that breath workers, and if you read James Nestor's Breath, we associate mouth breathing with the chest, and you only do mouth breathing as a mammal when you're in a like fight or flight state. You're running very hard. You're doing a hard workout. You're running from a tiger. Maybe is that where it comes from?
I'm sorry, I have to laugh about that one. I was good. I mean, that is the cliche.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but none of us have to run from tigers anymore, so we shouldn't be breathing through our mouth.
Right on, man.
But yeah, what you were doing.
But
Like,
I don't know.
I think about it the same way. Like
Yeah.
when I do my breathing, when I get really intense into it, and I tell my participants, if you want to turn up that throttle,
Yeah.
start breathing through your mouth
Well-
because you're gonna feel like you can get into the upper
Yeah.
airways.
What I like about the way Wim describes the breath is it's like you like roll. It starts down deep. And
Start
then
deep, roll it up.
And that's where I figure it aligns with that little kicker at the end through the mouth, because then you're up to your chest then anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when I do the breathing, I also incorporate some mouth breathing at the end, especially when I'm doing the rounds in the third and fourth and sometimes fifth
A
and
little
sixth
mouth
round.
at the end
Yep.
of each breath. Yeah, a little bonus open. Yeah, so
Yeah.
fair game for that.
Totally.
Okay.
I tell people your mouth, you're gonna lose more moisture breathing through your mouth, so you might dehydrate a little quicker. And arguably, the reason we get sick is one of the main reasons we get sick is because we breathe through our mouth more than our nose. Our nose is meant to clean the air,
Yeah.
to warm it up, slows it down.
Yeah.
It does like all these positive things for us that the mouth just doesn't do. So.
right,
That's how I've become a nose breather.
All right,
and actually in the sauna it helps too. I think.
I'm a bass turn down breather. I gotta spare our listeners. You're gonna hold that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm gonna turn it down, folks. Sorry if there's too much bass happening, but you know what? I love having an equalizer. That's the other thing. Like
Yeah.
I like treble high and bass high in the cool down room. I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we're getting some bass infiltration into the hot room
Yep.
because it's a little bit loud out there. So Nick, I'm gonna leave you with. I'm gonna be right back, but I wanted to revisit a little bit about pole. Well, you tell me. Like, what would you like to chat on? I'd love to chat a little bit about pulling. We talked a little bit about breath work. Is there something on your mind that you wanted to get out? Because we've been through a little bit of a frenzy here in round one.
No, I know we have.
Go ahead. Is there something that is on your mind right now?
For your listeners, I came here. I want to pick Glenn's brain and mind and experience about sauna because I feel. I do the breath work and I do deliberate cold exposure, but I'm not good at having a deliberate heat routine for myself. And I'm going to start, when I go back to Poland, one of the things this is going to open up for me is doing cold exposure outside with participants legally underneath the Wim Hof name. So, I do it already, but we'll just open up me putting the Wim Hof banner on it and saying, hey, let's go to the frozen lake. And going to the frozen lake is awesome. Going to the frozen lake with sauna is even more awesome.
Yeah,
That's what I really want to pick up from Glenn.
Let's get on that. That's beautiful. That's a great transition and really the core of, I think, our collaboration.
Which, can I ask you a question about that? So,
Yeah.
how do you incorporate Wim Hof breathing, breath work with the sauna?
Not much.
Okay.
I do Wim in the morning, and then this sauna time, I'm not really even thinking about breathing or any of that. I'm just like, hey, by the way, how would you rate the climate right now in this hot room?
Whew, it is. We just got a good blanket of moisture floating in the upper air. I don't know. I can't measure heat, but I feel awesome
Yeah.
because. Yeah, it was like when we first came in, I was like, it's not super hot. And now I'm like, that's getting me going. So.
I wanted to, for those listening, I'm introducing, you talk about breath work, I'm introducing hot work for Nick here, and I'm starting.
My lips are starting to feel it.
Yeah,
so it's good.
We went very light. I lit the stove only 45 minutes ago, and there's plenty of coals in the firebox. I would say that the rocks are not up to full serving temp. We're practicing. This is the Rolando protocols. This is where Tom likes to ride up round one, and he's a thermal soul brother buddy of mine. And I'm not sold on the riding up of round one. It's not something I normally would do. But I figured for our Sauna Talk, this is great. This is
riding up. You mean like making it hot very quickly?
Yeah, no, making it hot very slowly.
Very
so
slowly.
what we're doing is we're surfing with the stove is what we're doing. We're as the fire is heating, the rocks, heating the metal that's heating the rocks and all that. So that's this, conductive heat transfer action that's happening. We're also getting the walls and everything in this hot room hot. I mean, it was 38 degrees here a matter of an hour ago, so this is a different vibe that we're feeling right here. We're letting the steam carry us a little bit.
Yeah.
And I personally like it hotter, right? And we're going to get it hotter as the rounds continue.
Okay.
But this is like riding it up with Nick on Sauna Talk.
I appreciate it. No,
Right on, brother.
That's
But
nice, yeah.
but I had to ask how it felt because that's like for me, that's like nirvana there, where the steam, the humidity is maybe 60%, which is massive, right? And it's probably only 140 in the hot room right now. So so there's a principle for those listening. It's a Fahrenheit principle, but the combination of percent humidity and temperature in Fahrenheit, 200 is a nice number. So here we hit it, 160, 60 on the humidity percent and 140 on the temperature in the hot room. And then what I like 180, generally. So, if you're throwing water and hitting 20% humidity, there's nirvana in that as well. So anyway, I don't know if that relates to a little bit of where you're going, but
again, I don't have as much experience with the heat in that way, but how you describe that with the heat and riding it, that's how I kind of think about the cold too.
Okay.
I like it being cold, but I can tell, I like getting in there and it's a mindfulness thing. It's a time to pay attention to my body, especially when you're jumping in a frozen lake or something, when it's, the water is probably right around the 30s. So.
Sure. So the parallel to that is when you jump through a hole in the ice and you center yourself in that moment and close your eyes. Are your eyes closed often, or?
I would say for the first, I'm just paying attention to my breath.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm finding a good position in the ice or whatnot, but.
So you're recentering yourself through breathing in that moment?
Yeah, because for me it's a moment to pay attention in the cold, because the cold is an extremely intense experience. I've heard that for the heat we have 10 times more receptors for the cold on our skin than we do for heat. So that's why, you tell anyone, hey, come to a sauna with me, they're generally like, yeah, sweet, that sounds great. You tell someone, hey, let's go do an ice bath, like, well, hold on, I got to think about that.
Yeah.
Because that can be a much more intense experience. But that intensity can help you go deeper into how you live inside your body, your own consciousness, to pay attention to how you react. And that's what I really love about doing the cold. And this last winter, I went to the ice hole twice a week with just one of my brothers, and we would hang out and catch up, but we'd also just sit there and be quiet in nature. And so I really enjoy that aspect of doing cold, especially in nature, just reconnecting yourself, grounding yourself back in to the natural order of things.
Well said.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
But this is hot for me. I know you're over there just like, hey, I want to have a conversation. I need to take some breaths over
Well,
there.
you can, whatever you're comfortable with. And it's okay to be a low bench Larry. I mean, you can go down on that lower bench and experience a different climate. One, that's maybe it's getting about 145, 150 here. So, yeah, I mean, I want to.
Could you inflate those numbers next time? Just to...
well, look, we're gonna have 180, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah,
I guarantee.
I already do love it.
Yeah, that's right, man. But yeah, going down on the low bench is certainly a way to extend your round, and one of the things that not many, really are conscious of is. This is the parallel between hot and cold in a way, is when you're sitting on the sauna bench and you're like, holy shit, I'm hot. That again, that's that conditional response. Just like when you go through, a hole in the ice and you're sitting in the water, you're like, I got to get out of here, right? So we understand that at times when you're on the bench where you think you've reached the end of that round, that's okay, right? To feel that moment. But what we also want to be conscious of is our core, just like in the cold.
Yeah.
That's what the beautiful peanut butter and jelly aspect of sauna and cold plunge is that, okay, here we are, we're sitting on the bench, that steam wave passed, You know, where are we at in our core? Because we've had these, you say receptors and stuff. We have had these influences.
Yeah, these signals from the surface telling us.
Thank you. Yeah. Good. You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So want to press pause and then we'll get into our moment, or a couple more thoughts, questions. I want to ask you about Poland. Talk about what's going on in Minnesota for you.
Yeah.
We can keep nerding or we can press pause. Your call.
Yeah, why don't we pause just for a second and enjoy this heat?
Yeah.
Because this is my first sauna, jeez.
In 3 days?
In 6 months.
Oh, come on. We're going to change that.
Yeah, well, that's why I sent you notes, and that's why I was researching saunas all morning. And well, while we're on pause, maybe that's a good time for me to ask you a couple questions.
Well, let's set risk. You want to keep it going and I'll talk? Or press pause?
I don't care. You can leave it.
All right, ask me something, and if it's any good, I'll let it. Well, I'll let others listen.
So there's, and maybe this is old news for your listeners, but there's several public sauna places popping up. 612 Sauna Society. It's been around for a while. Now, Little Ember, I notice, is doing stuff, and they're doing stuff near lakes.
Yes.
And I'm just curious. Like what you think about what those organizations are doing, especially as they start bringing their saunas to public parks and places like that.
Cool. Well, you touched on something before that I'd like to revisit, but you're catching your breath. This is a moment for me to answer you. But again, the peanut butter and jelly, the parallel universe. You talk about doing Wim as part of a guided experience with others instead of 90%, 95% where you're alone, or maybe just with the app at home in your house. Well, yeah, I mean, you see where I'm going with this. The parallel of sauna is right there with us. I mean, I love walking 20 steps out my backyard and having this. I mean, this is my jam, you know. And I'm old. I got gray hair and stuff. You know, for younger people, finding their social circle or who they choose to spend time with and stuff like that. This idea of contrast therapy and seeking out other like-minded folks that are into some great values, like I could talk about the values, but there you go. That's the spirit. Yeah. It isn't going to a bar. It isn't going to the church. I mean, those are two extremes of where a social circle could be established for people. But we're creating this space here that is reaching people of like-minded spirit, and largely really cool people, artisans, musicians, even certainly health professionals have really came to this space. So so to answer your question, there are businesses, I call them butts on the bench businesses, where you go to a website and you pay X amount and you find a time slot and off you go. Yeah. And you show up and you enjoy sauna, and you can book that with someone or just let it roll with complete strangers or what have you. And as longest standing board member of the 612 Sauna Society, I mean, I'll say that there is something magical to sort of mixing that communication cocktail with a bunch of people you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think I like what you just said, and the other thing is, I mean, I've done it several times each season. I'm fully admitting I want to get into the practice more fully. Just like people who come to my workshops, like I want to introduce deliberate cold exposure more freely. Will you please, guide me through a harder thing so I know how to do it. So every time I've gone to a public sauna, I've had an excellent conversation with whoever is on the bench or whoever's running it. A lot of people connect over things like Wim Hof, but also, teachers do it. I've had my experience. I was a teacher for 10 years, and so what's going on in education and talking about books. I mean, that's also another thing. It's this place to be vulnerable past just the chit chat, because you're kind of stuck with each other in a positive stressor. I think both the cold and the heat are positive stressors, and it opens you up to be more comfortable. And I love that paradox. Yeah. Like when you're under positive, and I've noticed the same thing in the military. When you put soldiers out in the field together, they're a lot more comfortable talking to each other when they're out in their foxholes and they don't get to eat or they need to clean their weapons or whatever. And I think there's a lot of parallels there between
That's so well said.
being a stressful situation and opening yourself, like your true self coming out. So
because we're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
In this little microcosm of an hour and a half sauna session, like the coming and the going, and then this beautiful endorphin of, you feel great, like something opens up, whether you've had a busy day or a shitty day or you're caregiving for a sick one at home, or there's a whole laundry list of things that are making people's lives not happy and uncomfortable, but that for that moment you really do lose yourself in the place. And you allude to nature, right? Like, and to me, sauna and nature, it's bigger than all of us. And the fact that it's our version of that foxhole, like you're speaking about. These are like-minded folks going through an experience together and finding that there's a bond there, there's something of connectivity with others. But
that plays into what I was saying about the group breath work as opposed to doing it one at home. Like, even though you're not using language to share a space together, you are using breath, and breath is tons of breath workers like to point out, is our primal source of energy.
Beautiful.
You can go without food for several weeks. You go with water for several days. You can't go without air for several minutes.
So we're talking off mic about hydration, and there's this interesting parallel. I got back from Running Man last week, which was this event put on all day running. These guys are into sauna. I mean, they're into cold heat, and there's this demographical Venn diagram overlap of people into running and people into contrast therapy. It's quite obvious when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
They get it. They dig it, man. They know their bodies. They let into the stressors. All that.
We're doing the cold, the heat, running. You can tap into survival parts of your anatomy, that flow states that you can't tap into in our what I refer to as our comfort culture, where we prize the analytic mind over the feeling mind and the flow state mind. That you need to really stress your body to get into those things, to release those hormones. I mean, that's why it's meditative to go into the ice bath or in the sauna or to do running. I mean, long runs. I'm sure these guys are running really
long
super
runs,
long,
like triathletes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I can't even contemplate that level of stress.
And I've heard some of these people talk, like the pains come in your bodies and then you run through them and then they go away. And it's the same thing with feelings of stress. I mean, for me, it's more in the cold, but it's like, all right, I don't register that as feeling good, but if I breathe into it, I just focus, it dissipates, it goes away, and you get to a different level of feeling.
Okay, so stress is a really broad word, and it's a difficult word because this is good stress. This is body stress.
Stress. EU stress.
Explain that.
So EU is Greek for good, essentially, and eustress is a good stress. So you put yourself under stress, it's like working out, doing something like sauna, is that it forces your body to release energy and get rid of things that are, toxic in your body. But you need to stress your body to do that. In other words, like put pressure on it.
How about
it releases those
How about the
hormones.
other stress? Like explain bad stress.
Distress?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I refer to it as
Good,
distress.
good, go.
Well, and that's what, I think of that as, actually Jesse Coomer in his book talks about this, the modern condition of stress cycles that we have that are never fulfilled or completed, and they're outside the body. So like sitting behind computers and reading emails and you can't solve the problem, so you just start to ruminate and you start to get in that cycle where it never completes. Whereas you do a breath hold or a cold plunge, you go into the cold, you're stressed, and you warm back up and you come out of it and you survive, and that releases a lot of positive hormones in your body.
And I what I do know about what you call distress or this bad stress is the release of serotonin. And then we can talk about that getting chased by a tiger cliche again.
Yeah.
But this is good for the body in very short bursts, but prolonged stress of serotonin release is really bad for the human, right?
Yeah, and it's also measured in cortisol. Like we get this cortisol that's just flowing through our system because we never complete the cycle and get it out of our system. We just keep on.
We never get back.
Slow dosing.
We never get back
cortisol,
to the cave and chill out while our woman cooks us dinner as cavemen.
Yeah, exactly. We're always outside of the cave. Well, we bring the phone into the cave with us. That's how I describe it.
Oh, yeah.
So, you can always respond to the emails.
Look at that blue flame burning in
that's
there.
really nice.
Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. Man, well, I'm digging this. You know, this is a new chapter of seasonality for me. This is, you know, I talk about sauna, you know, on many levels, you know, and the thing about owning their own sauna is that it becomes what my wow, you know, there's just so much to share about that. But my good buddy Grant describes spiritual patina. And I feel it in this sauna. I built this sauna in 2003, and it's like this baseball glove that I'll never give up. You know, it's just so comfortable for me. And you know, this cold today of 30 something degrees is part of that spiritual patina for me of sauna. I just feel very comfortable in this environment. I feel like I'm home.
Yeah. Well, fall is like. Fall and spring are these times of, it can be totally different during the day than like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's dark already. There's leaves all over the ground. There's a sense of death really that's surrounding us. But but it's also change. It's also movement in nature. And,
yeah, man, it's changing. And one thing of the scene here is after the hot round, we go out into the cool down room here, and it's part of my garage, and then you take a quick step, 5 steps out the back to the outdoor shower, and then there's a few more steps to the cold plunge tank, but to the left on the sauna deck. But I got to remember tonight to shut that shower off because it's going to get well
freeze,
and this is transition time where if I drain it, like what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it off at the spigot and then unscrew it and hopefully get enough of that water out of the garden hose so that if that freezes, then I could be toast for the season, and that would suck. So in this next week to 2 weeks, I'm hoping I can limp along and still be able to activate my shower in the afternoons, you know.
Right.
And then as long as I shut it at night.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other bit is the frost-free faucet. Like, you own your own home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your backyard set up? Do you have a cold plunge tank back there? Or
well, actually, I was going to ask you about that because I have essentially the same thing that you have. I just have a stock tank.
Yeah. Now, when we say stock tank, just for listeners, we're talking about going to like a Fleet Farm or your garden supply center and just buying this trough that's used primarily to, you know, fill with water and feed cows and stuff, you know, so cows can drink out of it.
Right.
That's it, right?
Yeah, it's just a farm surplus store, and it's like 100-gallon stock, big tub. Yeah. Essentially.
When did you buy yours?
Yeah, Fleet Farm. I mean,
how long ago?
Well, I've had multiple ones now.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say this. I bought it. 3 years ago now. 3 years ago now. And I go out there in the winter. And I like this time of year, moving into December, and it freezes at night. Exactly. And then you go out there and you can crack it open with an ice pick, and then you get in there. Yes. So you have a free ice tub. But I've had the experience of it's like I've gone out of town and it's been and then I come back and it's a big ice cube and then it cracks my tank. So.
Well, mine has never cracked. So you've had them crack?
You've left it with water all winter?
Well, no. I think the difference is I know the scenario where. So what I've done is when it's been thick ice, but it's only been like 4 inches. I bang the shit out of that and then I dump those big chunks out. So I've never had it freeze like solid.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but when it's ergonomically nice to sit in these tanks because they're concave or whatever. They're more narrow toward the bottom, and I think that's by design because when you're getting a freeze, generally it'll freeze up, and so it'll expand. When you're using those aluminum ones, it pushes out, and those will crack really quick.
Right. Oh, that's a good point. I've never thought about that. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's because I've gone out of town or something.
Totally.
And I've forgotten about it.
Yeah. Well, we talked earlier about sauna brain, so you can't blame sauna brain for leaving your stock tank full of ice or full of water to turn to ice. But Yeah, so let's wrap up on a few things, huh? You wanna chat?
Yeah, what do you want?
anything?
Yeah, sure.
It's really great to have you on Sauna Talk. I wanted to make this episode happen just because I know from your background. I mean, you're a teacher. You've been in the military. You're Wim Hof certified. I know you'd be very comfortable on mic. I know you're very well read and researched about this topic that I personally find very interesting, and I know several Sauna Talk listeners to this podcast will find very, informative, and so that's why I do what I do. I like talking with people like yourself, Nick. So
yeah, well, Glenn, I have to say, one of the ways I found you, and I continue to follow you and read what you're. I mean, I love that you both do talking, you're into conversation, and you also write. You also like to. I like that you still have to put things into the written word. You have blogs, and you have to also give practical information about building things and researching things and how heat works and how cold works. So it's multiple skills. It's not just one thing, and you need to communicate them through a variety of media, and I appreciate that. But you get my heroes on your podcast, listening to Scott Carney and Wim Hof, and you just were hanging out with Jesse, who I really like, and it's I feel a very kindred spirit in the sense that I'm just gonna reach out to the people that are doing cool things, and I want to talk to them, and every now and then the universe responds with. Yeah, you guys should hang out and talk.
thank you.
And now I'm in your backyard sauna. It's something you built. I'm all about. You didn't order this and get it from Finland. It's hey, I made this, and it's my personal space. And I'm sure you've had a lot of cool people in the sauna before me. So
well, it's you nailed it, man. It's great. It's a great thing to share this experience in this practice in this space, and there's just a really cool community around it that I feel so blessed to have met some wonderful people, and a lot of them have become close friends, confidants, and it makes this life journey rewarding for me to be able to be around people that have great values, really good principles, and 98 out of 100 have been wonderful people to get to know.
Well, what did you say you wanted to ask about Poland again, or
tell us a little bit. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about that journey. You get on a plane. You sign up for the certification program, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, take us through that.
Yeah, I have to say, so I've been through some pretty intense military training too, and I kind of viewed it the same way. It's all right, I'm going to do a lot of preparation beforehand, make sure I know all my things, I'm in really good shape, I'm comfortable with all the cold stuff, even though I know no matter what I do personally, I'm going to have a lot of surprises when I get there. But also, any good community or military training, you show up and you think you're going to, learn something or get some epiphany, but really what it is you just meet a lot of other cool people that are doing the same thing with you. And the other thing I really like about Wim Hof certification and training is that it's still primarily very European. So it was COVID time, it was during the Trump presidency. It was nice to go to Europe, and it was it was a break from all of that, and instead you're breathing, you're walking in the snow with no shoes on, you're hiking up mountains with no shirts on, you're jumping in natural pools. It's just you're living with other humans as a mammal, and it was literally a breath of fresh air. And I have to say, the other thing that's really beautiful about the Wim Hof Method and just what it's attracted is that, I have a military and a teaching background. I was there with paramedics, military folks, SWAT team folks, yogis, health professional. It's the whole swath of the American thing, or of the human thing. It doesn't attract just one type of person. It was mostly Northern European, I'll give it that, but you all show up and everyone has their story of like, oh, I was really, like, people had mental breakdowns, people were getting over addiction, people were trying to help clients, like, everyone had their own story of, something cracking in their life, and then they discovered the breathing and the cold, and it was a source of healing to them, and it's something that they wanted to, like, really take to the next level so they could share it with other people.
So, Nick, putting you on the spot, what is your crack? What was your crack?
Yeah. Mine was, I have to say, it was just the breathing, and, I really got into breathing. COVID started 3 weeks after I discovered it, and then George Floyd happened. I mean, the George Floyd incident happened, I think, several months after that, and it was, everyone's at home with masks, and I had 2 little kids, and like the world seemed like it was falling apart underneath my feet. And instead, I'm learning how to breathe for the first time, and I'm getting this sense of like, it's gonna be okay. You just take it breath by breath, because there's nothing. The breath, you don't know where the next breath is coming from, and you don't know where the last one went, right? Like, so it really forces you to live in the moment when you pay attention to your breathing. And I have to say, when I discovered the breathing, it just opened up a new level of consciousness that it made me feel comfortable in this. I couldn't control the stress and the chaos that was going outside, so you just focus on the breathing and try to create something stable from which you can pay attention to your family, your students, the things that you are in the people you are in community with.
So your crack wasn't acute. It wasn't anything.
Well, so that was, I have to say, that was the original part. But what happened, I can't believe I'm going to say this into your little recorder right here, but, so, I was doing my cold showers, felt like I was getting really comfortable with the cold. I was like, I'm going to go to the frozen lake. But I did not, like, in hindsight, I did not prepare myself properly, so I had this really negative first experience in the cold, where, like, my hands, like, were just killing me, I actually lost feeling in my hands, and then it ended up not coming back for quite some time. So I had this really negative experience in the lake, and this was an opportunity to go, okay, now it's time to see if I really can heal myself, if I can, like, lean into the breathing. And I did, and I really used the method to come back from a negative experience and then build more positive experiences with the cold. And that to me was, okay, you need to dedicate to taking this to the next level. And it's actually went to the lake, came back from my injury, and then after I came back from my injury, that's when I signed up to become a certified instructor. That was
because you saw results?
Because I saw results, and because to me it was a very important mindfulness activity of breathing into and paying attention to your body. Because I don't think I necessarily had, like, I didn't need to go see a doctor for my pain, but it was psychosomatic. Like, there was such a negative experience in my mind that I had to deal with that. So, and actually, I mean, I had friends, and I did see an acupuncturist and some other folks. But it was, to me, that you could lean in, because if you read Scott Carney's book, Whatever Doesn't Kill You, he has whole sections about people who have symptoms and are suffering pain, especially from autoimmune diseases, and the breathing gets them to a place where they can actually they get a respite from those symptoms for a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, if these people can do it, if these people can lean into their breathing, into the cold exposure to heal themselves, then I need to see if that works for me too.
Beautiful.
And it did. And I tell people I do my workshops, it renews my faith in humanity, because people get to know themselves and they tap into I call it the ancient powers that they have inside themselves to survive something like an ice bath. Anyone can survive a 2-minute ice bath. I'm like, almost anyone. I'm like 99% sure of it. It's getting the mental blockage out of the way.
Yeah, well, one of the ways I get through it is when I'm in that space and it feels so like intense, like and almost like this is not right. I I just sort of revisit this and say, no, man, I mean, there's a lot of people doing this at this very moment. You know, it's like, I'm not alone in this at all.
I'm not the first person to do this.
Yeah. And others do this and they come out like super happy and restored and healed and all these great things. I was like, I could ride this out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like people talk about all these positive feelings, and that's what. So I feel I'm luckily at the point where I've been doing enough workshops in the Twin Cities. I've been doing it for almost 2 years now. I have people coming back who have, like, they've been to one and they come back and they're like, I just love getting in the ice bath now. You forced me to get in the ice bath, and like I'm scared of it, but I love how I feel afterwards. Or the guided breath work. Like I just had a breathwork session last night, and I got a good friend in town who's doing some Soma breathwork. He's a certified Soma breathworker.
Yeah.
And he comes to the group breathwork. He's like, and he's a qualified dude. Like he does a lot of breathwork. Like, when you come together and do it as a group, whether it's advanced breathworkers or novices, like the group environment of breathing together, having to follow someone else's cadence for a little bit, the soundtrack they put together, the space that you're in, a certain time of year, you feel it all through your breathing. Like you really do. I think it's a much deeper way of communicating. I mean, language is just an extension of the breath in some ways. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. So is singing, so is prayer in certain ways. So I really see it as like a very, very communal thing to do, and you get different when you're talking about healing powers. I think the reason people feel so, I say blissed out afterwards, but you can tell there. I mean, I have people crying sometimes or processing emotions, which is good. It's a safe environment to process. I mean, I think it's because they're doing it as a group together, as opposed to. You can still get sucked into that monkey mind when you're doing the breathing and any other practice by yourself. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure maybe you've had some bad sauna sessions where you just come in here, you just have too much shit on your plate, and it's like you can't relax into it.
Never.
Maybe? No? Never?
Well, actually, the irony is I'm more comfortable taking solos.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Because, but I can understand the in the case of cold exposure, breath work, and that sort of thing, having a Wim Hof certified instructor such as yourself would give me a great sense of safety net and comfort, because if I did freak out, or just have a bad moment there, that's what you're there for. And I can tell, Nick, that already I can tell this in you, that you're very good at probably bringing people into back from a dark side or a problem if they're encountering an emotional thing or a physical thing. And is that part of the certification? Is like how to deal with people if they have a problem?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting you say it, because I feel like half the certification was, I'm like, okay, say this happens, what are you going to do? Like, they were kind of like testing us to see how would we respond to it.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it was, some of it is like trying to make sure people don't have certain pre-existing conditions before they come to class, but other aspects of it was like, hey, if people are tensing up, like if you squeeze here on their neck, and kind of give them almost like a Spock death grip for a little bit, or whatever it's called, the Vulcan grip for a little bit. It's just like help them. Like that's where they're holding that breath, and they're tensing up. So you gotta help them relax, and you gotta give them that little shock.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that, but
how about helping someone emotionally through like a breakdown?
Well, I have to say, this is sometimes when I feel very underqualified for what I'm doing, but I feel very grateful that I get to do it. I'll just put it that way, because there is such an unspoken communal bond after the breath work that people get up from their relaxation or their shavasana period that I invite them to do after the breath work. And so, I've had it where people are crying or they process something, or they just they're so grateful, and other people I'm grateful too, and then they start talking, and they half the time I don't even say, hey, I'm the leader, let me guide you through something. I'm like, go ahead, talk amongst yourselves. I'll because they're the ones that just had the experience, not me.
So the judo move is, as instructor, you can take a step back and let the students work it out amongst themselves.
They want to.
Yeah.
Like they want to. I actually tell, if I have a big group, I'll just say, why don't you turn to your neighbor, and ideally it's someone you don't know and someone you didn't come with.
Yeah.
And you share whatever's on your mind. And they always do. And then I have to, it's kind of like, I always have this problem as a teacher. It's like, okay, we all did the reading last night. What'd you think? Well, you never do that. But, you can put a question on the board or, ask a very pointy question about one of the characters. And it's just crickets and, like, blinking eyes. And it's not because they didn't read it. It's because, it's just, people aren't communally comfortable. It's the opposite at the end of a breath work. Can I talk first? Let me tell you about... And people have a variety of experiences, and in general, it's kind of like how you talk about sauna. In general, they're positive. In general, people are grateful that they were given the space and the time for themselves to just sit down and breathe.
Do you feel? Do you ever feel a little intimidated that you never know who's showing up and you're bringing, it's almost like, give us your poor, your weak, and your hungry, that kind of thing.
Right.
And I don't mean this in how do you deal with delicate situations? Like people really in a delicate place that are reaching for a modality or a solution that is their cure, and there's a responsibility to that. Like someone showing up in a vulnerable state. Do you get that? And if so, how have you navigated through that?
Right. No, that's a really good question. I think about that often, and I do several things. One, I make people understand before we start the breath work. I give them techniques for if it ever gets too intense, slow it down, breathe through your nose. I give them techniques. The breath holds I do are not, I think, super difficult by any means. So I keep it very much in a reasonable spectrum for people.
Sure.
And then also, like, going back to, like, renews my faith in humanity, like, I believe that the communal aspect of them breathing together is going to provide the support that maybe they don't get if they've had negative experiences with breath work in the past. And I focus on that. And then lastly, if someone does, because it has happened, for a variety of reasons. People have said, well, it brings up too much emotion, or like it made me too anxious, the breathing did. And I just respect that. And I say, okay, well, now you know, and thanks for being safe. And like when I do the coaching, because I kind of, similar to the app, but much different because it's in person, I have my phrases in my coaching that I do while people are doing the breathing and while they're in their breath holds. And I try to make those phrases reassure the people that they're completely safe and they're totally fine. And in a way, they're revisiting all that psychic hardware in a safe environment as opposed to a traumatic environment, which is, having been a soldier too, that's the problem. Like a lot of, is that it becomes very unsafe very quickly. So it's just constantly reminding that you're safe, your body can actually take care of you in these ways. So let's lean into it just a little longer, being comfortable with them. And I have to say, I've had people who's like, I usually have panic attacks when I breathe like that, but that time I didn't. So I've had the opposite experience too. That's actually more common than the other thing, which is like any breath worker listening to be like, oh, you're not supposed to do Wim Hof breathing if you have a panic attack. And I'm not dogmatic like that. I'm not like, oh, you cannot do this if you're X. Like, unless you're pregnant or epileptic, I'm not overly dogmatic about it. But at the same time, you remind people that they're in control. They get to breathe. They don't need to hold on to their breath as long as I'm asking them to. They can start breathing again, and they can slow down. They can take a break. They can get a drink of water. Like it's not like army. It's not like some military training. It's like if you get up, you fail. It's not like that at all. So.
What percent of this technique that you are describing here is learned from the workshop versus learned by your background, being a teacher and being in the military and being well read in this space? If you had to put you on the spot, what percent is through the certification versus your own knowledge, research, and experience?
Well, going back to the certification process, I think I've learned the most from other instructors, watching how they instruct, how they hold an audience, the information they bring up to make participants feel comfortable. I've always been like, oh, that's a great idea. That's an excellent way of putting it. I like how they guided that. So I've learned a lot from that. And then, at the same time, like you said, I really do feel like my roads have brought me here. I've been a teacher and a military leader for a long time, and this is the closest thing I've had to a vocation, in line with standing in front of a class or standing in front of troops and saying, okay, we have to do this hard thing, or we have to discuss this difficult topic. I'm going to lead you, but I'm not going to just give you the answers. You have to do it yourself.
Beautiful.
And that's the Wim Hof breathing is really, allowed me to hold that space for a variety of people. I've had as young as 16 years old with their parents, and then 76-year-olds doing breathing, ice baths, from all different backgrounds. And it's always very reassuring, and I'm happy to do it with people, and I actually feel like I'm the one getting the gift when I do these workshops.
Beautifully said. How many people on average are at one of your workshops, or is it a rule? Does it depend on the night, kind of a thing?
Yeah, it sometimes depends on the night. I've done, when I first started off, I've done as few as 4, but I've had as many as 20. And 20 is kind of my cutoff, just so that everyone, because you want it to be an intimate experience.
Yeah.
Like, I know people's names. We do icebreakers together.
Nice.
Like, it's not just like, all right, come in and breathe and dunk and go home. It's like, they know me, I know them. I'm looking in their eyes during the ice bath. Like, it's my opportunity to connect with people too. It's not just me selling a service. So.
Do you, for listeners, we're talking Minneapolis, Minnesota, do you have a fixed location where you do this, and tell listeners where they can find you and partake in a breathwork class?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. Right now, Shelly over at Yoga Sanctuary has been very gracious with me, and she lets me rent her studio out once a month, and I do workshops once a month publicly at the Yoga Sanctuary over on 46th. In South Minneapolis. So that's where I do them, and I have all those sign-ups on my Wim Hof profile online. So if you just go to the WimHofMethod.com, you just go to activities with instructors, and I'm the only one in Minnesota, so it's pretty easy to find.
Is there another way people can find you? Can they Google and find you, or what would you guide people, or just go to the Wim Hof website?
Yeah, the Wim Hof website is the primary way. I am starting my own breathwork website and business, and gosh, the website is in its beta version right now. But I'm going to be Foxfire Breathworks, and that's where people can also go.
Perfect.
And sign up.
So this is a little prelude to that path to finding.
And now that you say that, I am also doing taking people to the lake through the Swedish Institute.
Yeah, tell listeners about that, Nick. Go ahead.
Well, so there's this great group, the Harriet Magic Hole group, that has been opening a hole in Lake Harriet for the last several seasons during the winter and making it open to the public. All you do is have to sign the waiver, and you can go and do winter dipping yourself. And there's an offshoot of us that have been going to Lake Harriet that are closer to Lake Nokomis. So we're getting all our ducks in a row right now to get a permit to open up a hole at Lake Nokomis. And one of our backers and supporters is the American Swedish Institute. And one of the ways they're supporting us is they're allowing me to do a winter dipping workshop so that people can come to the Swedish Institute in January. I will teach them safe techniques for doing winter dipping, teach them natural warm-up techniques, and then I will, if they want, it's totally optional, I will take them down to the lake and we can do a dip together.
Fantastic.
And, I'll have a warming tent down there too.
Right on, but I was going to make a joke about a sauna being there, but we're not going to get too far over our skis.
Knock on. There's a lot of wood in here, so we can knock on it.
Yeah, but, are the dates set for these classes, instructions at the Swedish Institute in Minneapolis? Are the dates set in January or still being formulated?
No, the date is set in January, and now that you ask me, I want to say it's the 24th of January.
Okay,
It's
cool.
the third or fourth Saturday.
Yeah, right on.
In January.
And so this is easy because the Swedish Institute is very pronounced here in the Twin Cities, so people can go to their website and drill down and find Nick and this class. That'll, if it's not up there now, I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, it's live.
Job.
It's live, and I'm going to limit it to I think 10 or 12 people. So it's and I know we already have 4. So
yeah, great.
Get your seats. If we sell it out, I'll open up another one. I hope.
There you go. There you go. So Nick, I want to thank you for being on Sauna Talk. Man, this is great. We're in the second round. We did a cold plunge. We got another one or two. A couple more in our midst. I'm just trying to think on behalf of listeners of really where to go. There's just so many places to go with this conversation. Is it okay to ask you a couple rapid fire questions? Your sauna, you didn't grow up with sauna. Like this is somewhere where your all roads are leading to sauna as an extension of cold and breath work. Am I getting that right?
Yep, that's correct. I did not. Other than the one at the gym that was mostly for adults that we'd only sneak into to pee on the rocks every now and then. I didn't really grow up with sauna.
So if you could have a mobile sauna and bring it anywhere in the world, what's the first place that comes to mind?
In the world?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a good question. I mean, honestly, I've done a lot of traveling my younger years, and I'm really interested in, like you say, Lake Vermilion. I've never been up to Lake Vermilion. I'm really interested in getting to know the Minnesota lakes.
So Minnesota Lake.
Yeah.
And if you could sauna with anybody in the world, dead or alive, past or present, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Oh, man. Dead or alive? Can I pick 2? It would have to be Nietzsche and Socrates at the same time.
On either side of the bench?
Yeah. Well, actually, I let them sit next to each other because.
Do you think they'd be getting into a deep philosophical conversation on the bench?
I think Socrates would annoy Nietzsche, and then eventually Nietzsche would try to start some shit, and then Socrates would actually end up winning. I don't know if you've seen those old paintings of Socrates.
Yes, I have.
He's really cut.
Yeah.
Nietzsche was sick his whole life. So.
Oh, interesting. Good. So Nick, thanks so much being here. You want to take us out, listeners to Sauna Talk? Any final words?
Well, my sign off is, because I do mostly cold exposure, I tell people live like a mammal, heat yourself from the inside out, and when I say goodbye, I said stay warm on the inside.